Did Zhao Lusi and Wu Lei really share an unexpected kiss? Or are we all just seeing what our hearts want to see?
Augenschwindelsymbol.
Tonight, we are diving into the moment that has completely shaken social media. A short clip from a private gathering that has fans screaming, "This is it, this is real." But is this viral kiss the beginning of a public love story, or just a playful, misunderstood moment between two very close friends? Stay with me, because the more we look at this, the more layers we find, and by the end of this video, you might see the whole situation in a very different light. Welcome back to the channel, where we talk about the stories behind the headlines, relationships, rumors, and the human side of our favorite stars. Today's spotlight is on Zhao Lusi and Wu Lei, a duo whose chemistry in Love Like the Galaxy was so powerful that many viewers secretly wished the drama would continue off-screen. And then, out of nowhere, a new video appears online. A cozy room, a small circle of friends, soft lighting, and in the middle of it all, a moment that looks very much like an unexpected kiss. The story begins not on a grand stage or at a glittering awards ceremony, but in a room that looks warm, ordinary, and almost forgettable. A few close friends gathered together, casual clothes, relaxed postures, the kind of atmosphere where people put their guard down. It is precisely in this unguarded space that a moment occurs, brief, blurry, and imperfect, that sets the internet on fire. In the clip that circulates online, Zhao Lusi and Wu Lei are seen standing close to one another. They are not positioned as celebrities in front of a camera. They appear more like two people simply enjoying the company of friends. There is laughter, someone raises a glass, another leans across to say something, and then it happens. A movement, a turn of the head, a shift in distance. For a heartbeat, it appears that their faces meet in a way that suggests a kiss. The footage is far from cinematic. The angle is awkward, someone's shoulder blocks part of the view, and the lighting is soft rather than dramatic. Yet that is exactly what makes it compelling. It feels unplanned, unedited, raw. There is no soundtrack, no slow motion, no director. Just a fraction of real time, captured by a phone that may or may not have been raised with their knowledge. By the time the clip reaches the public, it has already traveled through several layers of sharing, forwarding, and reposting. Context is stripped away, replaced with captions, titles, and speculation.
Was it a kiss?
Was it almost a kiss? Was it simply two friends leaning in at the same moment? The visual evidence is ambiguous, but the emotional impact is immediate. In a world starved of genuine moments, even a second of uncertainty can feel like a revelation. Once the clip is out in the open, the image may be the same for everyone, but the story people tell themselves about it divides into two powerful, contrasting interpretations. The first belongs to those who see the scene as a fragment of harmless intimacy between longtime friends. The second is held by those who are convinced this is the quiet confirmation of something more. From the first perspective, what we are witnessing is an extension of a familiar bond. Zhao Lusi and Wu Lei have worked together under intense conditions, sharing long hours on set, emotional scenes, and the kind of professional trust that can naturally grow into deep friendship. Within this frame, leaning close, laughing shoulder to shoulder, even appearing to brush faces is not extraordinary. It is what happens in close-knit groups, particularly in environments where people feel safe and protected from scrutiny. The other interpretation does not dismiss that closeness, it amplifies it. For many fans, the chemistry seen in their drama was never fully confined to the screen. Every soft glance, every behind-the-scenes interaction, every shared smile has been carefully stored in the audience's collective memory. When the clip emerges, it is not viewed in isolation. It is placed on top of a long timeline of moments, some subtle, some obvious, all pointing in one direction. There is something deeper here. In this reading, the clip feels less like an accident and more like a glimpse behind the curtain. Perhaps it is not a grand declaration, but a quiet truth that slipped through. The same blurry image that looks innocent to one person becomes confirmation to another. Neither side has definitive proof, because the clip itself is incomplete. Yet it is precisely this incompleteness that keeps both narratives alive, sustained by belief, emotion, and the human tendency to connect dots in the way that feels most meaningful. Beyond the simple question of are they together or not, this moment opens a doorway to a deeper conversation about how we, as viewers and fans, relate to the people we admire. The viral clip is not only about a possible kiss, it is also about boundaries, expectations, and the kind of maturity modern fandom is learning to develop. On one level, the excitement is understandable. Many viewers have invested time and emotion into their on-screen partnership. To see any sign that this connection might exist in real life can feel like a reward, a secret wish granted. Yet at the same time, a more reflective part of the audience pauses. The question arises, if this was filmed without their consent, are we witnessing a special moment or intruding on it? This is where a more thoughtful fandom begins to take shape. Some supporters choose not to endlessly repost the clip, but instead to focus on what they can control, their attitude. They celebrate the bond between the two stars through fan art, respectful edits, and supportive comments rather than pressure. They remind one another that admiration does not need to become entitlement, and that affection for a pairing does not give anyone the right to demand explanations about private life. There is also a wider cultural shift here. As audiences become more aware of mental health, emotional safety, and media pressure, there is a growing understanding that celebrities are not characters in a drama but individuals navigating a complex, often unforgiving industry. What looks like a romantic highlight might also carry weight: rumors, headlines, potential misunderstandings with family, management, or colleagues. In this light, the clip is not just gossip material. It becomes a quiet test of our collective maturity. Can we hold our curiosity and our compassion at the same time? Can we enjoy the sweetness of the moment without losing sight of the humanity of the people within it? Perhaps the most striking part of this entire situation is not the clip itself, but what follows: silence. No official statement, no public denial, no carefully drafted clarification from agencies. Just a deliberate absence of explanation. At first glance, this might seem frustrating to those who crave certainty. On closer reflection, it reveals much more than it hides. Silence, in this context, is not necessarily emptiness. It can be a boundary. By choosing not to respond, Zhao Lusi and Wu Lei avoid turning a fleeting private moment into a formal narrative that must be defended or corrected. They are not obligated to confirm or deny every interpretation attached to their lives. In an era where so much is demanded from public figures, the decision to say nothing can be a quiet form of self-protection. For the audience, that silence becomes a mirror. Into it, people project their own hopes, doubts, and assumptions. Some take the lack of denial as a subtle affirmation, others read it as a sign that there is nothing to address. The same absence of words holds different meanings depending on who is looking at it. It is fascinating and at times uncomfortable, because it reminds us how much we want stories to be clearly labeled: romantic or platonic, real or imagined. From a narrative point of view, silence also keeps the story open-ended. It prevents the moment from solidifying into a single, fixed version of truth. As long as no one officially defines it, the clip remains what it has always been: a fragment. This may be unsatisfying for those who long for a final answer, but it can also be a gentle invitation to accept that not every question needs resolution in public. In the end, their choice not to speak transforms the situation from a headline into a lesson. It asks us to consider whether our desire to know everything about someone's personal life is always fair, and whether we can learn to live with a little mystery without turning it into noise.